Number 10, Naga Fireballs. What would you do if you were walking along a tropical river at night and it suddenly began burping up egg-sized balls of red light? That's exactly what happens every year in October along the Mekong River, Laos. This phenomenon is known as Naga Fireballs. These ghost fireballs were one of the many secrets that science could not explain up until 2014. It has since been confirmed by the Science Ministry as a natural occurrence which is caused by flammable phosphine gas. The phenomenon of the Naga fireballs has not been very well received in the ancient times. Some say that the Wat Lunag temple in Phan Phi contains old written records mentioning them. Ghostly fireballs can be seen in the late October-early November period with the end of the monsoons leaving the Mekong River replenished with lots of water. Balls rise out from different parts of the river, but they mostly arise from a single spot. Number 9, Chiquinza, Mexico, the illuminated snake. It actually occurs twice a year during the solar equinoxes spring and fall, March 20th and September 23rd respectively. Late afternoon on fall and spring equinoxes, the sun projects an undulating pattern of light on the northern part of the structure, providing us with a pattern that evokes the appearance of a massive serpent sliding down the structure. The reason for the illumination is due to the angle of the sun rays and the edge of the steps that define Litza's construction. Rising on the northern platform of the Chiquinza is the temple of Kukulkan, a Maya feathered serpent deity, which is also known as El Castillo, the castle. El Castillo's design is thought to relate the Mayan calendar. Each of the four sides have 91 steps each. With the top platform being counted as a step, it adds up to 365 steps, a step for each day of the year. Number 8, Fajardo Butte, USA, the Sun Dagger. In 1977, when researcher Anna Sofaer visited what is now the state of New Mexico in the southwestern part of USA to explore rock art, she would not be able to think what was in store for her. While exploring the area known as Chaco Canyon, she witnessed 3 stone slabs leaning against the cliff and a couple of spiral petroglyphs. Suspecting the rock arrangements, she returned to the site at different times throughout the year. What she observed was astonishing. On the summer solstice, a single silver of sunlight which she dubbed as the Sun Dagger appeared near the top of the larger spiral, slicing its way down to the center, thereby cutting the spiral in half. Again on the winter solstice, 2 daggers of light appeared for about an hour, during which they exactly framed the large spiral. Although the purpose of such a light show is not clear, but it surely points to the awareness of an appreciation for the sun the indigenous people living in the historic times had. Number 7, Christmas Island Crab Migration. Most species have to migrate to breed and to protect themselves from the extreme weathers. That is exactly what the Christmas Island red crabs do. The little critters make their way from the forest to the coast to lay eggs, millions of them. It is the beginning of the wet season which stimulates their annual migration. Actually, it's the different phases of the moon which affect their timing. The females release their eggs at the turn of the high tide during the last quarter of the moon. What is so sensational about this migration is its visual treat. It looks as if the island has been covered by a red carpet and is one of the sceneries of the year. It is so incredible that thousands of people visit the island to view the phenomenon. The bright display of such wonder forced most of the roads on the island to be closed. These crabs are protected by law as the visitors are requested to walk on foot rather than use vehicles. Number 6, Queen of the Night, Silenus grandiflorus. For years, the night-blooming Silenus grandiflorus has mesmerized anyone lucky enough to be up when its huge white fragrant blossoms open in the dark. These nocturnal bloomers are members of the cactus family. But the sad fact of the matter is it blooms only for a single night and shrivels up shortly thereafter. The Silenus can reach up to a height of 10 meters or more. The flower bud, which appears as a tiny white pearl inside of the leaf, swells as the days pass, until one evening, Before our very eyes it opens up. It fills the night with an unforgettable fragrance smelling something like vanilla. The flower stays open all night, waiting to be pollinated by the moths before withering back to the skeleton. Number 5, Veterans Day Memorial. Veterans Day, no, not the same as Memorial Day, celebrates the service of all U.S. military veterans. Celebrated as an official public holiday in the United States, Veterans Day takes place on 11th November every year. What's fascinating that each year on 11th of the 11th month at 11:11 a.m. in Arizona the sun's rays pass through the ellipses of the 5 pillars to form a perfect solar spotlight over a mosaic of the Great Seal of the United States of America. A number of people gather near the monument to view this amazing phenomenon orchestrated by the sun. The Anthem Veterans Memorial, located in Anthem, Arizona, is a monument dedicated to all U.S. military veterans. The memorial, designed by Renee Palmer Jones, an Anthem resident, consists of 5 pillar marbles which symbolize the 5 branches of U.S. military: Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. Number 4, Green Lake, Austria, an underwater fairy tale. Set among the snow-capped karst mountains of Austria, the Gruner Sea, or more famously known as the Green Lake, is a worthy tourist spot. After all, the water is only a meter deep. However, an unusual natural phenomenon caused by the melting of the snow-capped Hochswab Mountains turns the lovely park into a massive pool with all of its footpaths and benches submerging into the underwater world. Such is nature's beauty, it literally changes with the seasons. During the winter the lake is only 3 to 6 feet deep and is surrounded by a scenic parkland that is perfect for hiking and exploring. But cometh the spring, the ice and snow from the surrounding hills start to melt, filling the lake up to a maximum depth of 40 feet. As a result, this natural beauty becomes a hotspot for the water sport of scuba diving. Number 3, Aurora Borealis. Unpredictable yet breathtaking, the Aurora Borealis, or the Northern Lights, are the nature's most sumptuous light shows. When the spectacle is in full flow, the sky is ablaze with a range of cosmic greens, reds, and yellows. This natural phenomenon can be seen in the northernmost regions of the world, including the likes of Norway, Iceland, Greenland, and Alaska. Most auroras occur in a band known as the auroral zone. The Aurora Borealis occurs when highly charged electrons from the solar wind interact with the elements of the Earth's atmosphere. Solar winds stream away from the Sun following lines of magnetic force generated by the Earth's core. As the electrons enter the ionosphere, they encounter atoms of oxygen and nitrogen. The color of the aurora depends on which atom has been struck and at what altitude. Number 2, the Blooming of Tisza, Hungary. Near the Tisza River in Hungary and Serbia, people have to deal with a swarm of small insects every year. The Palingenia longicauda, also known as the Tisza mayfly, have a strange life during which they remain underground as larvae for 3 years. After fully maturing, these small insects surface ready to mate. But here is the strange thing, they have only 3 hours to do so before they die. This unique nature's phenomenon attracts hundreds of visitors every June to banks of the river. After 3 years of slumber, the Tisza mayflies are ready to create the next generation of larvae and then succumb to their deaths. Due to synchronized hatching, all mayflies emerge at once, mating and plaguing the surrounding towns by forming a dense cloud. The air gets so thick with insects that it almost looks like snowfall. Number 1, Wisteria Tunnel, Japan, the Flower Tunnel. It is virtually impossible to walk through the Wisteria Tunnel at the Kawachi Fuji Gardens without remembering those fairy tales and stories of princesses riding on horse walking alongside us. The pastel-colored passageway is truly a fairy tale setting, a place one would never want to leave. The enchanting tunnel, which explodes with color, is due to the flowering Japanese wisteria, also known as Fuji in Japan, which hang overhead. As a result, The mixture of different colors makes it an amazing place to walk through. The main features include wisteria vines planted over an 110-meter-long tunnel, 2 domes and a large trellis the size of several tennis courts. A member of the pea family, Wisteria is an ornamental vine, wildly popular for its hanging flowers and winding branches. The best time to visit the tunnel is from late April to mid-May. Visiting the place at other times may lead to the disappointment of disheartening mass of lifeless, twisted branches.